Before even going into the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I knew I would have to do a review, and the hype was not senseless. Between a polite discussion over whether or not Mike is a bottom,
I feel so bad
and a bad overall critical reaction, we were set for an absolute unit of a movie. And even with a major spoiler thrown my way about a certain theorist, you know who you are, I couldn't help but be excited. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's has always been important to my life, whether it be through a deep hatred or sudden strong interest. For the longest time, FNAF was the cringiest thing to me, with goofy songs and interesting fan base. But to say the franchise didn't grow on me would be a genuine lie. I can't pinpoint what exactly made me a fan, but I remember borrowing the books from my friend and even receiving a graphic novel as a gift. That very same graphic novel I used in one of my favorite older videos where I gave a really well-detailed analysis, in my opinion. This makes me so much happier to tell you all that as fans of the books and games, we are eating fucking good. They ate and left no crumbs, or whatever fruity people my age say. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie synopsis goes as follows. A troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. While spending his first night on the job, he realizes late shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to make it through. As huge of an understatement as that is to the extremely well-written film, I suppose it gets the job done. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie is perfectly structured. Throughout the nights, we follow Mike Schmidt as he revisits an old dream looking for clues as to his brother's disappearance. He finds spirits invading his dream during his shifts and attempts to learn from them. This works really well towards the movie's storytelling, revealing lore through tidbits and leaving you waiting for all 5 nights. The movie never drags or overstays its welcome despite the slow pacing, because it feels gratifying to learn with the character and everything seems to fall in place with him. From the very beginning of the movie, the trauma that would be a driving force for the structure is established when he attacks a father he suspects of kidnapping. It puts him in a place where he would need to take a job at Freddy's despite the horrible conditions. He has no choice if he wants to take care of his sister, all he has left. It immediately injects the story with something more raw and emotional than you ever expect with Five Nights at Freddy's. Seeing Mike struggles with trauma, his attempts to grow closer to his sister, and his aunt's meddling, it all makes an amazing internal struggle of anger and distrust that he exhibits through the movie in all sorts of small scenes, such as when he yanks his medicine away, his expressions talking to the principal, his reaction towards the animatronics, and desperate anger towards the spirits. Every scene feels completely full, realized to its potential with this character. Going into this movie, you'd expect to be bored until the animatronics, but really it's carried by its depth of character. It feels like it was written as a genuine story with care and love, but never once is afraid to embrace what it is. The movie knows where it's come from, and even if it is just a purely well-written film, it also welcomes old fans with welcome arms. From entirely recreated set pieces and fully working animatronics, it's full of passion. Now, as you know, I've been more of a book fan, and even though that's not as popular as the games, I didn't feel left out at all. Some shots were genuinely taken straight from the books. Here are a few of my favorites. The ball pit scene from the cover of a graphic novel, the hiding from Foxy Arcade scene reminiscent of Charlie's hiding, and the drawing pages on the pizzeria walls that tie heavily into the story while being for the fans as well. One thing I am sure that all of us fans were really worried about, because you know, video game movie characterizations aren't usually the best, is the ghosts themselves. It would have been so easy to just make straight up evil characters, but they never went that route. They made a genuinely compelling story of scared little children just hoping for someone like them. Scared children manipulated by William Afton's will. It serves to what makes these types of ideas, toys, animatronics, horror like that so scary, the misplaced innocence. There's this scene that really stuck with me that exhibits its excellency. The image of an animatronic and its towering intimidation, but a frail child's voice coming from it as this woman looks on in fear. It's kind of beautiful, really. It lends a creepiness even if the film lacks utter horror. Where it lacks in horror, it makes up for entirely with well put together suspense. This movie puts us in familiar situations constantly, making its own sort of fear by reminding us of what's happened before. Going back to Mike for just a second, I promise I will hop off his dick in just a minute. Just wait. His dreams illustrate my point. The small changes throughout make it unnerving while also giving a sense of helplessness to what will inevitably happen. Foxy, arguably the scariest of the endearing animatronics, often chases characters through a specific hallway with his little silly tune that eventually becomes a place of interest and generates fear in itself. It's a really clever trick that works as much as it can towards horror in a, PG-13 movie. It's kind of. But by far, the scariest aspect of this movie is Shaggy. Shaggy's raw, unfiltered sexual power radiates through this movie at a small 0 point. Dead meme, sorry. Matthew Lillard, aka Superior Shaggy, acts perfectly in this movie. His constant tone changes really convey how detached from reality William is. While not intimidating, it's unnerving. Matching up to this is a cast of great actors given a lot to work with the animatronics, specifically Mike and me in a bed. My point is, this movie is beautifully structured and a good watch for old fans and new ones alike. Plus, the fucking goat Corey Kenshin is in it, so literal perfection. Also, vagina's there too, I guess.